Hello, I'm Anna Carwright, and I'm currently affiliated with the Oxford Brookes University. And I would like to echo Ruth's message as well. I really feel lucky and very proud to be part of this diverse, productive risk community during Madeline Carr epoch. So I'm a RISCS Fellow on quantification and cyber risk theme. So the fellowship on the theme was designed to contribute to two strands. One strand is to optimize the use of existing UK government data on cybersecurity, and another strand is devoted to the cyber risk management in small organizations. And speaking of the first strand, well, there is always call for the more data. The existing data is underutilized as a source of studying cybersecurity. So in this current fellowship, we had a particular focus on cybersecurity breaches survey. But again, this objective is of much broader perspective. It's about more general use of already existing government data like Home Office commercial victimization survey, action fraud data, the longitudinal small business survey that also has questions about the cybersecurity. So the objective is just to encourage researchers to use these data sets. So furthermore, we aim to facilitate knowledge exchange between academics, practitioners, government, because to make sure that work of academics would be of the most practical relevance and contribute to the policy debates and informing policy, it is essential to start with discussing of the priority questions and then co-produce the knowledge and research around the theme. Coming to the second strand of the fellowship, the cyber risk management in small organization, we also had sort of more specific focus on micro and small organizations. So this is the area that we worked on for several years. And in this strands, we aim to build on the work we've done in our Home Office funded project. So in that project, we identified that the local IT companies may be quite well placed to help micro and small organizations to adopt the best cybersecurity practices. And in this fellowship, we aim to work on this and try to find answer to questions like, how can one quantify cyber risk of yoga instructors, plumbers, hairdressers, and how we could make them think about their cyber risk, as well as whether there is any additional support local IT companies need beyond what they already currently have. What we delivered so far during this fellowship, so the fellowship started in mid-May 2021, and already in July 2021, we ran our first workshop, optimizing the use of UK government survey data on cybersecurity. So the workshop note produced in a partnership with UCL Engineering Policy Impact Unit, and it provides a beautiful summary of on context and discussions that took place during this workshop. And together with National Cybersecurity Center and Department for Culture, Media and Sport, we first identified initial broad set of questions. And during the workshop, we brought together academics, law enforcement, government, to finalize this subset of priority questions that are the most of relevance to policymakers. What came next is something I was told, a novel approach. Based on these finalized priority questions, we launched a risk prize competition that was aimed at early career researchers and PhD students so that they would use existing data sets like cybersecurity breaches survey and attempt to answer at least some of those questions. So it is important to point out that we hope that it is a start of a journey in such workshops and prize competition, and this would be rolled on an annual basis. To address the second strand of the fellowship, we organized a series of interviews, focus groups with a range of local IT companies. And results of this will be communicated in due course, but just to give you at least some flavor, what might be expected is that there was a lot of positivity about Cyber Essentials. I'm pretty much sure that the Home Office might really find it positive. Finally, at the beginning of March, we ran on a follow-up workshop where we announced the winners of risk prize competition. And more generally, we explored what are the findings on both strands of the fellowship on quantification and cyber risk theme. So this workshop was a reflection on a proof of a concept that we can bring much more to inform cybersecurity policy or policy debates by working together, academics, practitioners, government. To briefly reflect on key findings and generally on research landscape from perspective of a quantification and cyber risk theme. So from academic perspective, there are three basic issues that were identified in the literature. First one is frequency and damage of cyber attacks. So when designing surveys that ask questions about frequency and damage of cyber attacks, it is essential to adopt more nuanced notion of an attack, rather than to have just a single number summing it up. So to explain, so let's say if we have a 40% of businesses being attacked, then we need to clarify, is phishing attacks counted or not counted? Moreover, we also get some distortion of reported attacks number due to the use of different methods, because some methods results in overestimates, others in underestimates, and that creates a lot of unprecision. So the second issue in the literature is how to evaluate returns to security on measures. So if we use the existing data sets on cybersecurity, and let's say we'll look at the relationship between the number of attacks experienced by an organization and amount of security measures adopted by this organization, then we tend to get sort of positive relationship. For example, in cybersecurity breaches survey, those organizations that use multi-factor authentication are more likely to be attacked. More security, more attacks. Does it make sense? So that really points out that something is missing in the data. For example, maybe it is risk profile of the organization. So then how do we solve this problem? What can help to identify this missing information? We can have a longitudinal study to get more reliable picture. And let's say longitudinal version of cybersecurity breaches survey can fit the bill. And another question just to point out in research is we need to investigate factors that correlate with willingness to report cyber attacks. That is also one of the questions that come up in the literature so far. So this was a just brief outline of a key finding on the first strand of the fellowship, and it's worth mentioning that Quantification and Cyber Risk Fellowship has some interesting overlaps with the project I'm currently involved as part of an economic team. So this is an NCSC funded project. Maria Bada already mentioned that looks at role of insurance companies in dealing with ransomware attacks. So again, similar issues coming out like where's data on cyber risk, how businesses think about the cyber risk, or how large versus small organizations think about the cybersecurity. What policy tools can work for either of them? So finally, to conclude with more kind of general remarks, so it is fantastic to see that cyber risk topics start to attract more diverse range of scientists, and risk opens up this domain for economists, criminologists, psychologists, classicists. And from what was said, the future is going to be about expanding this community, as well as about availability of data, about public sector data, private sector data. How do we calibrate reports based on different data sets? And finally, I need to say many thanks to all who contributed and helped during this 10 months of the fellowship, with particular thanks going to National Cybersecurity Center and Department for Culture, Media, Sport for shaping initial set of questions, for guidance and input along the fellowship. And of course, to the RISC and UCL teams responsible for communications, work presence and management. And of course, thank you very much for the gravitational center of the RISC, Madeleine. And also thank you for Tristan, who helped us to identify the winners on the RISC prize competition. Many thanks to audience today for your time and attention.